G'day, welcome to Deep and Meaningfuls with Furzey. Do you know how hot a super hot pepper actually is? They can be 800 times hotter than a jalapeno. 800. My guest on this episode is Johnny Scoville. He is a true legend in the chili eating community, and I'm stoked to have him on. He's got a huge following on his YouTube channel, Chase the Heat, where he performs incredible feats of spicy strength. So in this pod, we chat about the brutal training techniques for a chili eating contest, how to get as high as a kite from a capsaicin endorphin rush, which pepper Johnny thinks is the hottest in the world, and it's not the Carolina Reaper, the strange things that happen to your body when you eat that much heat, and a lot more spicy stuff. I first saw Johnny on the Netflix series We Are the Champions, and I've been a fan ever since. I really feel like he's a genuinely honest person. I'm grateful for the opportunity to get to know him. Thanks, Johnny. If you're enjoying the pod, please give me a rating, share it with your mates to help it grow. Now, here's my conversation with Johnny Scoville. It's a lot more work than people realize.
Well, here's the thing. It is. I mean, I know because I've seen other people do it. I've been around a lot of content creators, but I mean, like I've made, I don't know what the actual number is right now. The number right now, this minute mark is 6,253 videos. Now, if I was editing these videos, I'd have 2,500. You know what I mean? There's no way I do 2 or 3 videos every day and I've taken like one day off this decade so far.
And you do a video most days.
Every day. I promise you, of the 8 years that I've been doing this, I bet you I've taken less than 60 days off altogether.
Wow.
Where I didn't make any content. I mean, I just make videos every single day.
That's cool. That's amazing. Why did you start doing it?
It's funny. I've always been a pepperhead. I've always been really into spice, since I was a little guy. And I don't know how long. It must have been 15 years ago. It's been a long, long time. I was watching, let me think, I was watching Bill Moore, Hot and Spicy Reviews. I was watching Hippie Seed Company, Neil Smith. I mean, a legend. You kidding? I was watching Chili Beast, and there was very, very few chili heads. And I was I was divorced, so I had my kids on this week, and watching a guy eat 2 chocolate bootlas. I remember really, he was having a hard time. I said, "Honey, come here," to my little girl. She was a little girl. And she sat down, and the minute she sat next to me, he started dropping F-bomb after F-bomb. And I wanted to cover her ears like earmuffs, or I couldn't rewind it. I never cursed in front of my kids. So that was just brutal. I felt like it was my fault. And in that moment, I swear to you, I was thinking, man, there's not a single channel for spice that's educational, entertaining. It's still family friendly. There wasn't any. And there was very few, but they weren't entertaining. So that was my motivation. So I just started to do it. And I've had my foot firmly on the gas pedal since I started. I haven't really taken any time off.
Yeah, you have. And so what did you say? 6,000?
6,253 videos.
That's incredible, man. That's amazing.
A lot of them are live streams. I've done 5 25-hour live streams.
Yeah, wow.
Where I did for 25 hours straight, where I only left to go to the bathroom. I didn't take any 5-minute breaks. I mean, just the whole time.
Machine, man. I'm at this is episode 46, I think, and I'm about ready to give up. It's like this. It's so much work.
Well, it's funny. There's a lot to it that they don't tell you. Like when you set out to do this, there's no video where they can say, "Mark, click on this video here. We know you're starting a podcast. We want to show you what things can come your way if this thing works." Yeah. There's no video like that. There is now because I made one for my channel. There wasn't one when I got started. So you get involved. You think it's, and you get started, and then things change, and nobody warned you.
Yeah, man. So, okay. So you were talking about being into chili since you were a kid?
Yeah, I was about, to the best of my memory, I'm not positive, but I'm guessing I was somewhere between 7 and maybe 8 or 9. somewhere in that age.
That's young. That's young.
Yeah,
Most kids are really, they avoid it like the plague. They just can't handle it. But was it in your family a lot?
Well, see, it was my dad. My dad was my hero. And no matter what he did, I wanted to do. He played golf. I wanted to play golf. He played tennis. Give me a racket.
Yeah.
And he was eating pepperoncinis one day. And I said, Dad, I want one. And he's like, you're not going to like it. I said, please. And he said, no, trying to do the right thing because it was a pepper. I was a little kid. And I just, please, until he tapped out and said, fine, here. You're not going to like it. I took it and I ate it and I loved it. And that's kind of started it.
Yeah. Well, it's what's your background, your folks' background? Are they?
My dad's German. My mom's Italian.
Okay. So it's not like particularly spicy lineage.
No, I don't. It's really funny you bring that up because I don't think that it's something that we get genetically.
Okay.
I should say it. I think you can maybe be able to get, like I have a high tolerance for pain. That's something that I probably get genetically.
I think you've proven that. Yeah.
So I really do. But I don't think for instance, I've had people that have come to me at shows and we'll have hot stuff there. They say, give me the hottest stuff you got. And I'll say, well, why don't you start slow? And they're like, I'm from Mexico, or I'm from South Africa. We have the hottest peppers. Or I'm from, Colombia. We have the hottest peppers. I've had people say that a lot of times. I'll hand them a peanut or one little thing and it destroys them. I don't think it's something that we are born in the region that we're in. Although I do think that I have some, my brother has a ridiculously high tolerance for pain. So I think that's something that we have genetically.
That's an interesting point, that it being pain rather than specifically for capsaicin. That does make sense, that it's more about.
Think about it, Mark. When someone says, like, if you look at I don't have any hot sauce near me. If you have a bottle of hot sauce, they'll give you a scale, like 1 out of 10 flames on the label.
Yeah.
But when you try it, people always say it's how hot in terms of what? They always say 1 to 10.
Yes.
Well, when you go to a doctor and you say, I got a bad backache, he'll say to you on a scale from 1 to 10, how bad is it? When we're talking about capsaicin, it's burning our mouths. What are we really talking about? The discomfort, the irritation, the pain. So really, whether we want to say, hey, what is your pain level? That's really what it is.
Yeah.
So I just, I think if I probably, my tolerance when I first started was just like everybody else's. That said, if I had eaten something really hot, I would have handled it better because, kind of a masochist. That's my thing.
Yeah. You're pretending that you're not feeling the pain at that point.
You know what? Here's the problem. For the first 3 years of the channel, I didn't really tell anybody, but I'm a masochist. No one wants to hear that. It's a weird thing to tell somebody. I don't like heartache or toothache or headaches or backaches, things like that, because they'll disrupt your day and everything else. But just about any other kind of pain, I can find something I dig out of it. I know that sounds weird. The first time I ever talked about that and came out and said, look, here's the deal. You want to know? Here's why. My mom watched that video, and she never watches videos of mine. She watched that one. It bummed her out.
It bummed her out. I was going to say, what was her take on it? Was it something that she had? I was wondering whether she had gone, yeah, that checks out, or she hadn't noticed. No.
Listen, I'm her kid. My brother has stitched me up at least 2 occasions. Like instead of going to a doctor, I'm like, here, do it here, and
oh wow.
I've come home with broken bones and just she raised us, so she knew who we were.
Yeah.
But I think it was the first time we stuck a name to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It actually came out and said, "Okay, look, here it is." Yeah. So even though it was something she was always around, to hear the words were kind of traumatic, I guess. I don't know. Not traumatic. Sure. Listen, she went with me. It was my birthday, must have been 4 years ago. We were getting ready to film. Well, actually, we were in the process of filming the Netflix special that I was in.
Yeah.
It was We Are the Champions. And my plan was on my birthday to jump out of an airplane and eat 10 Reapers while skydiving. And I made the arrangements to do it. And the film crew from Netflix was at my home. They're loading up my house. There's cameras everywhere. And I went to the jump zone. My mom was like, she wanted to go with me. And I was like, hey, why not? And that was probably the last. She kind of stopped watching videos after that.
Yes, it's almost like being the mother of an MMA fighter or something. There's probably only so much pain that they can handle watching their baby go through.
You're very kind. I think she'd probably say it was more like one of the moms of the guys on Jackass is what she. But there's something to that.
So talking about that Netflix special, man, that's where I first saw you. I remember sitting there with my wife and we were watching what was it called? We Are the Champions, right? And it was following, each episode was following folks who do some pretty extreme things to get kicks out of. And your episode was by far my favorite. It really had a big impact on me. And I've always kind of enjoyed spicy food, but it's not something that my family enjoys. My parents, they're true Australians, so they find, black pepper a little too much. Right. So they're pretty relaxed in that. So it's not something that I've been around much. And then I lived in the States. I lived in Los Angeles for 10 years. And there's a lot of Mexican culture and Mexican food, which I really embraced. And we went to Mexico and had some authentic Mexican food, and there was some pretty spicy stuff there. But then watching you and the doco, I was amazed at the stuff that you guys were putting yourselves through what was that competition that you were doing?
It was billed as the very first ever world championship chili eating contest.
Wow.
That's how it was billed. So they contacted me and they told me what they were doing. And I said, sure.
So did you have your channel up and going before that?
Oh, yeah. That's how they found me. Because I asked them, I said, how'd you find me? They said, dude, we typed peppers. That's all we needed to do. So they found me pretty easily. But,
yep.
It was the whole thing was very crazy. So it was a pepper event. And then, they started off really, there are people from all over the world. Brianna Skinner from Australia. She was there.
Yes.
And there was just a bunch of really, really sick chili heads from all over the place. And I didn't do very well. It was a very poor showing on my part. But
that is a testament to just what some people can go through. Like if you spend 15 minutes flicking through some of your videos and having a look at the things that you subject yourself to, and then look at how that went on that day, and there's you like a veteran at this stuff. You're a weapon when it comes to eating chilies. That's just the way it is. And then you're on stage, and there's these people that are just like crushing. To see you struggling. That's I got to say, I know there's a lot of people, and I don't mean this negatively, but there's part of me that wants to see you struggle because it never happens, because you're just a machine. You just pop them like popcorn, man. No worries.
Everybody says that. It's kind of like watching Evel Knievel back in the day when he'd jump a fountain in Vegas or something, or London. Yeah. They wanted to see him crash. They loved him, but they wanted to see something exciting. So I think there's part of that. Every once in a while, though, I get these videos or comments where somebody will say, it's a comment where it's not really that bad, a video where I'm not really hurting that bad. Very recently it happened. It was, I can't remember what video it was. And I was hurting, but it was nothing that bad. And they said, man, I've never seen you react like this. I went, really? Because I have a playlist, and in one of the categories is the hardest challenges I've ever done. Because I've done 593 challenges in the 8 years. Wow. And 26 of them were just like horrific and
brutal. So I feel as though, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but when you get to the level that you're at, it's more so about stamina than just the individual hit, right? Because those challenges end up being the amount that you're eating.
Sometimes it's amount if it's a ton of chilies or a lot of a product. Sometimes it's a small amount, but it's just stupid hot. So sometimes it goes different ways. But, it's weird. I don't know, man. I'm kind of broken.
You all are, dude. At least you admit it,
I admit everything.
So there's something that happens, and obviously you know this, when you eat spicy food, which is similar to taking drugs, where you get an endorphin rush. And I was chatting with a guy, the last podcast I did was with a guy who he basically he's created a program to help folks kick cocaine habits and alcohol habits. And because he had a real problem with it, and we talked a lot about this, and I mentioned that I was chatting with you about it. And I had this theory about earned pleasure versus unearned pleasure. and we were talking about what's referred to as hormetic stress, things like doing a workout, taking an ice bath. You know, even I mentioned psychedelics. When you take mushrooms, you pay your dues up front, and then you feel good afterwards. Whereas and peppers, chilies, spice is another one of these things. You absolutely pay your dues up front, and then you get rewarded afterwards. Rather than, cocaine or alcohol or any of these kind of things, there's no dues up front. You just do it and then you get hungover and deal with that later.
Yeah, it's interesting that, there's such a correlation. People never talked about it. They're only now, they've been talking about it for a little while, but it's really starting to catch some traction now. There's a correlation between sobriety and capsaicin. And it's not so much that it's an earned, that's part of it, I think, but bigger is that high level eating capsaicin increases serotonin levels in your brain. Now that's a hormone that helps, proven to help people better deal with depression, frustration, anger.
Do you mean it increases your brain's ability to hold even more, just in general?
What it does is it creates more serotonin in your body, and that hormone helps balance us out. And we deal with stress, anxiety, anger, grief much better with higher levels of serotonin.
Yeah, and this is systemically, or just when you're having the.
I don't know. I don't. Not enough studies really have been done on it, but I will tell you this: like I'm sober now. And I'm sober on alcohol. It's been over 5.5 years. And it's been about 15 years, 14. I don't know the date. All the bad drugs, I didn't really put a date on there, but at least 14 years from all the really bad ones. So I know when I got sober from the first couple of years of the channel, I was still drinking. All right. So then I got sober. So the deeper I got into the Chilli community, the more I started meeting people. Every time I go to a show, I meet just people left and right. I'd meet these people that were sober, and they weren't just sober from drinking. They were sober from, you name it. You name the drug, and they're sober from it. I mean, you name it. I'm not even fooling. Cigarettes to the hard stuff. And they all report a similar thing, that they all say that capsaicin helps them. And I think part of it is it creates more serotonin in your brain, which helps you deal with those triggers. Those things, even if you're not somebody who's trying to stay sober, anger, frustration, depression, those are triggers. Yeah. So if you're somebody who's trying to get sober, those things are brutal. So if you can kind of fortify yourself against those things, you're in good shape. The other thing is, I don't know what the level is that makes it happen, but the reports are all the same thing, is that it just seemed easier. Like when I quit drinking, I'm telling you, it was like flipping a switch. Like I've never had a craving. My dad died 3 years ago, and it wasn't like I ran to I need to drink something. I don't struggle with any of it. The other thing is that it provides you a safe alternative buzz. Because here's the truth of it. If you eat enough peppers, like you said, Mark, you're going to get an endorphin rush. And what happens is your body goes into stress, and it thinks it's dying, and it floods your body with endorphins. All right.
Doesn't it literally think that you're on fire? Like it's just our body, inside. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's fire, Mark. I know that your body senses like inside alarms are going off, we got a problem quickly in our throat. Something. Yeah. Whose throat's dying. Do something. Yeah. And it floods your body with this dopamine, and you get this amazing buzz. And like, having a guy, look, I'm a guy who's sober now, and I'm not proud of this, but I've abused or been addicted to every drug there is.
Right.
And I'm telling you right now that you get a good endorphin dump from eating peppers, feels like a really strong opiate buzz. It's exactly what it feels like. I don't mean I don't even mean Vicodin. I mean the real deal. It's just like a plunger. You bet.
Interesting, man. Because I've never taken any of those kind of drugs. I've taken kratom, which is apparently similar to an opioid feeling. So I do know that.
The same receptors.
Yep. Yeah. And let me share the story. Actually, I've just remembered this. The first time I ever had a real spicy experience, my wife and I were in Los Angeles. We went to a Vietnamese pho restaurant, and we were feeling we went out on a date, and we were just feeling a little silly. So there was a soup there, and we went, you know what? Let's get it spicy. Like there were 5 different degrees of spice. And we asked for the second to hottest. So it wasn't even the hottest one. And I don't know if they wanted to mess with us or what, but dude, this blew our minds, and we were sitting there in the corner of this restaurant. There weren't many people in there, and we were you would have thought that we were on drugs because we were laughing with joy at how insanely hot this was. I'm obviously, you know what it's like. I'm sweating out the top of my bald head, and my wife's just cracking up. She's eating it too, and we just keep going back for more. And we come out to go to the parking lot, and we were tripping out. It was like a psychedelic experience. And when we got home, I remember it was so painful, but there was a part of us, we both turned to each other and said, we should do that again. It was a very clear moment of, wow, that was an experience. That was like nothing else. And
there's something there. When I'm in Fort Mill, that's where all the products that Blazing Food makes. I'm there a lot. I used to live there. I filmed a lot with a guy named Big Al. He's a dude that worked for us at Blazing Foods. Just the greatest guy. Teddy bear, just a big, like 6'4", just a huge guy. Sober his whole life. He's never had a sip of alcohol ever. He's never smoked a cigarette. He's never done a drug in his life. And I made so many videos with this guy. And one day, I don't remember what pepper it was, but I gave him a pepper and it burned him really bad. It was like a really, really hot pepper. And he's not there yet. It was way past his comfort zone.
Yeah.
I remember he sits there, he puts his elbows on the table and he goes, I don't know, man, I feel mellow. Did you feel that? And we're on video, man. It's on video. He goes, I feel mellow or something. I'm like, dude, you have an endorphin rush. This is the first buzz you ever get, you get with Johnny Scoville.
Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling. And to me, it fills, not that it fills a need. See, you know what? It's really weird. I wonder sometimes if people are born with an addiction to dopamine.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing.
Maybe I have this hidden dopamine addiction and I need to get dopamine. And the normal amount of dopamine doesn't cut it for me. So I do, and like people will say, eating pepper is addictive? I don't think, no, not physically, not at all. However, I'm just being wickedly honest here. Somebody can become addicted to the activity that gives them the dopamine dump.
Sure.
So even though eating peppers isn't addictive, you know what I mean? Physically, I'll be willing to do that to get to the end result. Well,
and to be fair, you could say that you maybe are addicted to eating peppers. Like, have you had a break?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you had a break from eating peppers?
I don't even know what you're asking me. Those words don't even make sense to me. No, I've never. When I tell you that in 8 years of doing this channel, there are probably less than 60 days altogether where I didn't make a video.
Yeah, but did you still eat peppers on those days off?
I eat peppers when the cameras are rolling, when the cameras are not rolling. I eat peppers all the when it's pepper season, I eat them all the time.
You're a full-blown junkie, bro. You can't. I love that. I love it.
But here's the thing that's funny about that, because I've had people say to me, you traded one addiction for the other. If they want to go there, I'll say, okay, yeah, you betcha.
Sure.
We have on this side, we have peppers. It's legal. They're healthy. They're good for you. They boost your immune system. They speed up your metabolism. They'll give you a great buzz. It's a great painkiller. And they bring people together. But every other drug isolates you, pushes people away.
Yeah.
They're usually illegal. They're not good for you. They're expensive. They're detrimental to your health. I mean, there's so many reasons not to do them. So to me, if they want to say, are you trading one for another?
Yeah. Also, what's the problem? People are like, it's not really an addiction. From my understanding, is something, an activity or behavior that negatively impacts your life. That doesn't land for you. That's not what that is. There's no negativity there that I can see. I mean, you tell me if it impacts your life negatively.
No, but I know it hasn't. But I know I know a couple of psychologists. One I've known since I went to college with her. Since I was 19, I've known her. And I promise you, if you asked her, says, is he okay? She'd say, he's made 6,200 videos in 8 years. Does that sound okay to you? She would tell you that I'm serious. She would say, there's something pathological going on here. At least I've chosen something that's good for you, and somehow I've been able to parlay a business. I can make a living at it, which is just unbelievable.
I think you just scratched the surface of the benefits of eating spicy food. Like I was doing some research on it not too long ago, and an article came up because my folks are in their 70s now, and it, kind of crossing over to that phase where I'm starting to feel like I need to take care of them, and this article came up about helping with cardiovascular health and with cognitive decline and cognitive function, and they were praising the abilities of capsaicin to help your cardiovascular health and overall blood flow and how it can stave off dementia-like symptoms.
I hope that's the case. Listen, the reason I say that is I've read recently that there's a correlation between, critical brain, you got a concussion, you have a bruise basically, and, there's a link to that with Alzheimer's. And that's terrifying to me because I've had over easily a dozen concussions. That's where a doctor said, dude, you got a concussion. I mean, I probably had half a dozen where I didn't even bother going to a doctor for. And that scares me so much when I think about it.
Yeah.
So, eating a lot of peppers.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it can rebuild those damaged brain cells.
I don't know, man. Listen, everything, if you think of what I've done throughout my life, it's a miracle I'm still around. So I'm kind of happy.
Where were you in your life when you were pretty wild? What was going on? Were you talk to me.
Okay, well, I've written a book recently. It's completed. It's going to be released probably. I announced the title of it yesterday.
Cool.
Yeah. The title of the book is Killing the Miller Brothers.
Okay.
My real name, I was not born Scoville. That's a name it's like a stage name. That's a name I took and changed for my job. I wanted to protect my family from trolls and everything else that's on the internet.
Sure.
So I went with Scoville. So I wrote a book, Killing the Miller Brothers. I have a brother who's just like I am. He just got caught and I didn't. He went to jail for bank robbery. Arms sales, gun running. So he's done, and he's done some time and he's sober now too. And
he's out?
He's been out for years. He has a YouTube channel called The Lifeboat where he helps people get sober. He's just a classy, a good dude right now. But we weren't always, I was basically a criminal for a couple of decades, to be honest with you. So I wrote a book called Killing the Miller Brothers. It's the process of us getting sober, and it's really a redemption story. It's a caution this could happen to you, and hopefully somebody who's in a spot where they don't think they can beat a certain problem, they can find some inspiration. But that's what the book is about. Just it's the worst stuff you can possibly imagine. I did it.
Wow.
I just didn't get caught.
Wow. I look forward to reading it, man. That's interesting. And
here's the thing, though. I'm just being really frank with you, man. You got to have, if you care about me a lot, you may not want to read it because it could change how you view me. I'm like, I've changed. I'm not the person today that I was then. And the problem is some people, people that know me, there are a lot of people that know me that don't know this story.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
and
it's probably something. Yeah.
Usually, if I'm close enough to you, you've heard this. You've heard it. If you get close to me, I'm going to let you know about it. But my channel, I've kind of told them, I'm not they know what's coming. They don't know the contents of it, but I've told them it's coming. So
yeah, just a heads up, guys. I've done some stuff. It's the thing there's something really beautiful about that. I have written a few films that I'm working on getting up and made, and one that I wrote just on my own really put so much time and energy into creating this story and creating these characters. And when you create a fictional story, there's really not that much of it that's fiction. The interesting thing that I learned about it is that every character is a little part of me. And my lead character, in the initial drafts, I was having such a hard time making him enough of a jerk for the story to be compelling, because he's mostly based on me, and he just wasn't bad enough. So there was no redemption. It wasn't interesting. The hero's journey there was no payoff.
Well, that's the thing. In order for the payoff to be good, the bad has to be really gritty.
That's it.
You know what I mean? That's
it, dude. And so that's what I think makes it even more beautiful to come out the other side to where you are now, where you're at this point where it's almost as though, well, I'm going to get the saying wrong. I've gotten this saying wrong before as well, but it's something along the lines of being, as a man, you don't want to be harmless, because that means that you are incapable of harm. You want to be peaceful, because that means that you are capable of harm and you choose not to be.
You know what? It's funny. Keep talking. I'm going to find something exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And from what you're saying, you have plunged into the depths of some dark places and have seen and felt and experienced that it is not where you want to be, and it is not the path that you want to walk to have a fulfilling life. And to have come out the other side, having seen that's so much more meaningful, in my opinion, than someone who has always been good and has never really understood what that means.
I think you're right. There's an appreciation for what I've got, you know?
Yeah.
You know, if you've never, believe me, Here's a great quote. It's kind of what you're saying. A harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very, very dangerous man who has it voluntarily under control.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. That is exactly.
I remember watching a news program one day, and the anchor was a woman. She was very attractive, and they were talking. I don't know what they were talking. I think they were talking about gun rates, and she said, "I would never even consider marrying a man that didn't have the capacity to kill another man." And I thought, that's my girl right there. But yeah, I get it, man. You know, there's something about being in control is a really important thing, and that's.
Yes.
The essence of being sober is being in control. I spent most of my life literally out of control, like every part of it out of control. So
yeah,
I'm in a good place right now.
Yeah, and the fact that you are inviting in this chaos, the chaos that you invite in voluntarily, and perhaps that's just how you're wired, as you were saying before. Perhaps you just need a bit of madness, a bit of chaos in your life, more so than some other folks. But you've found your way. Maybe took a few more years than you would have liked it to, but you're there now, to this point where the chaos that you have in your life comes in a little, usually red pod that you pop in and just deal with the thunderstorm in your throat.
Well, you know, we're all human, and part of the human condition is that we get old, we age, we break down, our cells break down, and we die. Nobody gets out alive. Everybody's going to get it. And the thing about it is, part of that process is pain. I watched my dad, who was, when I was a kid, he was Superman. He had a cape under his suit. He was 6'4", 220, could walk through walls. And I watched him become a man who was just, he became frail, and I watched it, but he never lost his sense of humor or his personality, which was great. But I watched it, and it was a painful thing. And I remember him so many times, we were in a hospital after a procedure, and he said, getting old isn't for sissies. And so one of my thought process, kind of my approach, is that I have a very unique relationship with pain. And my thought process is this, because it's almost like this. If you played sports, you're an athlete, aren't you?
Well, I'm not an athlete, but I definitely try to be. I work out a lot. I'm very physically active.
Imagine a football team. If you played football and you never practiced and you just showed up on game day. Yeah, well, the best. The other team practiced. You're going to have a problem. You aren't ready. You aren't prepared. Well, if you've run, most people, they have pills like aspirin, like this. Every time you get a headache, you'll pop one of those because you don't want pain. Most people run from it.
Yeah.
So my thought, and for those people, when pain comes their way, which it is going to, it's going to be a scary thing because number one, they're not used to it. They don't know how bad it's going to get. And it's something they've run from their whole life. What I do is I put pain in my way every single day and I overcome it. So that when the day comes where something hurts, I'm ready for that.
You're ready.
I hurt my shoulder about 2 years ago. I don't know how I did it. I was lifting something at the factory at Blazing Foods. And I swear to you, I thought I separated my shoulder. It was bad. I couldn't tie my shoe for a couple of days. It was terrible. And it took months to heal. The first 2 days, it really hurt and it was like bad. After that, every time I'd roll over at night when I was sleeping, if I'd shift from one, because I sleep on my side, I can't sleep on my back or my stomach. When I would shift from one side to the other, I'd wake up in pain, and every time I'd be like, it was beautiful. It was the greatest, and I loved it. There's some pain to me that is just like, I love the pain of peppers. I really, really do.
Wow.
I know.
That is interesting, man. One of the questions that I was going to ask you, and you kind of answered it then, was how has your experience with, eating peppers and the pain from that transferred into other aspects of your life? Because something that I have experienced through, I've done a fair bit of meditation, which is quite painful in a way. It's a different kind of pain, but if you try and sit for 60 minutes in silence in front of a mirror with your staring into your own eyes, you'll know what I mean. That's uncomfortable,
right?
And the places that your thoughts and your mind goes to is it can be frightening, and there aren't that many folks who have tried that kind of thing. But what it teaches you, the same thing with an ice bath, choosing to willfully put yourself in that exceptionally uncomfortable, shocking place and then come out and reap the benefits. It's like whenever there's a situation in life that requires something that would normally make me panic, you're able to kind of observe it a bit more rather than just be so reactive and just have it happen. And it sounds as though you've got a very similar experience with that.
Yeah, I think so. But if you think about it overall, like my experience, I've been to 1,000 pepper shows and all over the world, all over the United States. And I've seen 1 million people come up to the counter and they'll say, you know how the weekend warriors, we call them. They'll say, give me the hottest thing you got. We always try to start them small. But I've watched so many people get burned because we have these tube of terror peanuts that are just surreal how hot they are.
What are they?
And we'd say tube of terror.
Oh, yes. I know the ones. I can put a thingy up.
They're stupid hot. But we'd say you can only have one. And I'm telling you, one, if you're not used to it, one is going to upend your day. They're that hot. And I've watched so many people just get destroyed by products we have. And their eyes will water. They'll go to the bathroom. But if I had $1 for every time somebody came back, either the next day or later on that same day and said, man, thank you. They'll fist bump me. That was so good. You got me, man. Everybody it's one of those things, even though it was torture to go through, when you're done, you look back and go, man, I'm glad I did that. Like I've had one person in 8 years come up after and say, I wish I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. Wow. Well, and I think that does have a lot to do with the benefits that come from it. Yeah, there's the physical pain when you're going through it, but that endorphin rush is undeniable. Honestly, it is. If someone never wants to do drugs or has never done them, that, as you just said, you've done some hard stuff, and for you to say that it is on the same level, like it's a legitimate, like, oh wow, I'm different. This is different. It is a different state of consciousness. I had one. There's a video of it actually on my channel. I made a short out of it. I made one in Belgium. It was I think it was the third time I met with Shahina Wasim with a belt match. Oh yeah, she's the queen, right?
She's broken. She's a thug. She's a Chilli thug. I love her, but she's a gangster. I'm serious. But she beat me. She beat me again. And I think imagine what it's like to eat 60 super hots and come in second place.
Oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is.
So I eat peppers and she wins. And I left and I walked down this hallway, and I remember it so clearly. I couldn't feel my feet. I felt like I was floating. I could not feel my feet. I was making the movement to walk, but I could not feel my feet hitting the ground at all.
Wow.
And everything was like, wow, 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 like a flanger effect. And I don't know if you have to do psychedelics to feel like that. And looking at it now, I look at it, it's like people thought I was freaking out. I'm like, then finally someone was, no, man, he's having a good time. That's an endorphin rush.
Yeah.
But if you don't know it, but here's the deal. If you don't know what's going on, you could be horrified by watching it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the prettiest thing to witness, but it's amazing.
It really is. Imagine if you could put that experience of the endorphin rush in a pill without having to deal with the heat. Man, people would be racking that stuff up left, right, and center, wouldn't they?
But the problem is the heat and the pain is what causes it.
That's it. That's why it's so magical.
Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. You can't just it's not just a matter of eating something hot. You've got to fire way past your comfort zone. So if you've never eaten anything hot, eating a whole jalapeno might do it.
Yeah.
If you're at jalapeno level, eating a jalapeno obviously won't. Eating a whole habanero will. Yeah. So each time if you eat, and I know people that will say, well, all I have is habaneros, so I can't go past that. Oh, well, get 10 of them and eat them. You'll get an endorphin rush. Promise you, it doesn't just, you got one, so eat 5.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing thing. The funny thing is, here's the great part about it. I love this part. The physiological effect in our body has no memory. So it's not like there's a guy at the command center inside my brain going, no, relax. It's a pepper. He's just eating peppers. We're good. No, stay at your post.
Yeah.
They can't, there's no memory to know what's going on. All it knows is there's alarms going off and like something's bad's happening.
Oh, so it freaks out every time.
Every single time that reaction happens.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. At like the beginning of the pod season, one super hot will give me an endorphin rush.
Really?
I ate 5 this morning. And no endorphin rush.
Oh, wow.
Yesterday, I ate 7 chocolate super hots, and I got an endorphin rush in yesterday's video, which was beautiful. But at the end of the pod season, here's the thing, though. It's no different than any other tolerance. If somebody drinks a lot, they're on a bender, and they go out and drink a lot, and they drink for an entire month, on day 30 of that month, the amount it takes to get that person loaded.
Yeah, 12 beers.
Is so much more than would take on day 1. It's no different with peppers. It's no different. It's the exact same thing. So that's why and tolerance is, you can build a tolerance relatively quickly, but they fall much faster.
Really? So when you have if someone's getting ready for a competition, like when you've done these, are you training?
I've trained for one competition ever. I lost one I did very poorly in one in New Zealand. It was the off season. It was a season for them and off season for me. I show up. There's a contest. I hadn't eaten a pepper in a while and didn't do very well.
Okay.
I still ate 40 or 50 peppers, but I wasn't able to keep going.
Yeah.
I did very poorly at the We Are the Champions. Again, I didn't train, but what I did do, we had a competition about, must have been 5 years ago. It was Spoonfuls of Terror, it was called. We had 8 people who signed up for this. The contest was to eat 10 tubes of terror, full tubes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which was just... when we first developed that product and made it, we never for even that long thought anybody would ever do more than one. But people started doing multiples, and I was like, okay, let's, So we had. What's
your makeup of what makes those spicy and those peanuts?
Hang on one second, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. And this is your product.
It's Blazing Foods, which is he's my partner in my sauce company, but it's me on the label.
Yeah, cool.
It's Johnny Scoville's Tuba Terra, and there are peanuts in here. And on these peanuts, the peppers that are on it, we have Carolina Reaper, Ghost Pepper, Chocolate Butla, 7-pot Brain Strain, 7-pot Douglas, Moruga Scorpion, then on top of all that, we have 13 million Scoville pure capsaicin crystals. Now, what they are, it can go as high as 16 million. We have 13 million on this, and it doesn't change the flavor profile. It's flavorless.
Oh,
so
just bumps it up.
Just stupid hot. So we've never had them tested, but I would guess that they're probably 2 million, 2.5 million maybe. So they aren't that bad, but it's so much more than most people ever do.
Yeah.
But we had a contest where we had 8 people, and that's probably the craziest part, that we could find 8 people willing to even try this.
Yeah.
But we had 8 people, and when it was done, four of us finished. 4 of us ate all 10 tubes.
Wow.
And that was crazy. But the funny thing about that one, I trained really hard for that one. So
okay. What was your workout?
I was doing vials of tincture, I was mostly a lot of tincture, super hot, 2 or 3 million Scoville tincture. I'd mouthwash it, like gargle it. I was drinking a lot of tincture, but it's rough on your stomach. But
yeah,
the way these taste will be determined by your tolerance. If your tolerance is really low, these are going to taste like poison to you.
Wow.
I promise you will not like it at all. If your tolerance is really high, they taste like spicy honey nut peanuts.
Interesting.
Like honey roasted peanuts is super spicy. And the day of that contest, I had trained so hard. My tolerance was through the roof.
Yeah, so you were just powering them down.
It didn't really even start to bother me until I got to like the 7th tube.
Interesting.
They tasted good until like the 6th tube, they tasted good. So and then then they don't start tasting so good, and then the last tube was very, very hard. Man, I've got so many questions. Do you? So that speaks to what you were saying before about how it's not so much about your lineage; it may be about where you grow up, purely because of the type of food that you eat. It sounds to me like it's all tolerance. Anyone, whether it be some freckle-faced white person from Scandinavia or someone who's grown up in Sri Lanka. It's all about your tolerance. Schwarzenegger's from Austria. It's not like somebody from Austria says, I can lift a Volkswagen because I'm from Austria. You got to do the hard work to get there. And
yes,
it's really, it's very, very similar to this. Now, I will tell you this. I think women have a higher pain threshold than men do.
I think that's true. Yeah. I mean, something about, giving birth, apparently that's painful, but
they make a big deal out of it. Listen, my thing is this: if they left it up to men, if it was up to us to populate the planet, they'd be like 11 of us left.
I know.
We'd be in trouble, man.
Can you imagine what we'd be like when we're on our period? We're like, I'm not coming to work, bro. Why? I'm on my period. Yeah, that's cool, man. You don't have to come. I'll see you in a week.
I wouldn't even call. Like, you need me to tell you? Don't bother me.
Yeah, we'd all hang out so that we would all cycle together, and then 1 week a month we just wouldn't work. That's just how it would go.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
If you think about Shahina is a savage. Bella from Heat 101, she's a gangster.
Yes.
I heard her say that cap cramps are worse than childbirth, and she has 4 kids.
Wow. So let's talk about some of the things that are the negatives. Obviously, if you're a regular mere mortal, you don't have to worry about so much other than, the spicy butthole when you say goodbye the next day. But at the level that you're at, what are people going through? Yeah, because you hear about the cramps.
The cramps are bad. I mean, like,
is it like a full body cramp or just in your guts?
No, it's just in your gut. And I mean, it folds you in half. It's like the most painful thing. Like, I got a tolerance for pain, and that is my kryptonite, man.
Really?
It's the worst thing in the world.
I would imagine if you were to vomit when doing that would be horrible because they're all coming back up through like your sinuses.
Well, here's the thing that people don't realize. You certainly can vomit if you're like, here's the thing. It's not something that people like talking about, but if you go to a contest, like a big Chilli contest, people don't finish, go, all right, see you guys later, get the car and drive home. It doesn't work that way. At a contest, you betcha.
Really?
Every single,
get it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, think about it. You've eaten 40 or 50 peppers. You're not digesting 40 or 50 super
peppers. That's a great point.
It's brutal. So what happens is this. Let's say, okay, we'll just pick one of them, the Sacramento one. I tied with Shahina in that. I think I ate 50 or 60 peppers in that one.
Yeah.
They're coming up after that contest is over.
Yeah, if you want to survive the next few days, yeah.
After I've swallowed the last pepper, my throat has the irritation and the trauma of 55 super hots passing through it.
Yeah.
Go into the bathroom and eject them.
Oh.
The reversal of fortune. After I'm done, my throat feels like 100 peppers have gone through it because all those peppers are going right back again. And it's worse because it's already irritated. It's tough, man. But here's the thing. Like I had one time, I think it was 2 years ago. It was probably the worst challenge I did in the season in season 6 of the channel. It was brutal. I was attempting to eat 30 chocolate primitalis, which at the time was the hottest pepper I'd ever eaten. It was just stupid hot. And these were so hot. Oh my God. I don't want to think about it. But I only got through 18 of them and I tapped out. I was practically hallucinating. It was bad.
Wow.
And I went into the bathroom to try to bring them up and I couldn't.
Oh, so you had to pass them. Do you build a tolerance on the way out?
It's not so much the way out part. It's the cramps as it goes through your intestines. That's the part that I'm worried about.
Oh, and does that last for like hours?
Well, I mean, cap cramps, it is what it is. It's capsaicin poisoning is what it is.
Wow. And
it can last. Sometimes if it's not so bad, sometimes you just have one little bit of irritation. You're like, oh my God, I'm cramping a little bit. And it'll go away and you're good. Those are beautiful days.
Yeah.
Then there are days where it doesn't work like that. Like I drank plutonium. Have you ever heard of plutonium? It's made by a company called Ashley Foods. It's called Plutonium 9. It's a paste. It's 9 million Scoville extract. Oh. And it is, it's just so surreal how hot. I've had hotter. I've done 16 million Scoville crystals, but the 9 million Scoville extract almost seems worse. It's just so bad. And I heated it up in warm water. I boiled water in the microwave and I dropped the little glass vial in the water until it got warm and became a liquid. Yeah. Now people online will take a toothpick, put it in the toothpick, and then sometimes they get sick from a toothpick.
Yeah.
So I took the top off and drank the whole bottle.
You may as well just mainlined it, man. You're a psycho. That's insane.
I did that challenge 3 times. The last time I gargled it, but the first time I did it, the second time was worse as far as cramps. I was done. I tried to get rid of it all.
Yeah.
And here's the problem when you do anything liquid, like whether it's a sauce chug or something like that, you think you're going to get it all up. You're not.
That's coating. That's coating your stomach, isn't it?
And so after the video was over, about 30 minutes after the video was done, the cramps came in.
Oh.
And the first cramp, when it's really bad, you get waves. It'll seize up and you'll cramp up. After a while, it'll relax. You're like, oh my God. And then every once in a while, you'll think, phew, that was over. I'm glad that's done. And 20 minutes later, it comes back. All right. And it comes in waves. That day, the day I did the plutonium the second time, the first wave came in. And I'm telling you the truth because I timed it. I was dying. The first wave came in and stayed for 16 hours without letting go. I had 911 queued up on my phone.
Oh, wow. It was legitimate panic.
I thought, it was horrible. I can't begin to tell you how bad it was. I was like making God deals. Like, please just help me. I'll do
Those
anything.
moments of like, you know what? I've gone too far. I've reached the limit. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Then I thought about like, what would I do? If I went to the doctor is just going to say, you're dying. What'd you take? Yeah. I'd look at him. So I took some plutonium and he would freak. He'd be like, plutonium? And then I'd be like, no, not that kind of plutonium. It's just pepper extract. And he'd go like this. He would look at me and go like this. Puff it out. He'd give me some dairy. I'd sign that. He'd charge me $500 to give me a glass of milk and to tell me I'm an idiot.
Yeah. That's right.
They wouldn't pump your stomach because the process of pumping your stomach would be more traumatic to you than just passing it.
Yes.
But then, so the first cramps lasted 16 hours. Then it let go. Then it came and went for another 24. Every hour, it would come and go. And it took 3 days before I felt normal. So you also get hot tears. I get hot tears where if you cry or if your eyes water, like when I yawn, something happens when I yawn, my eyes water. I don't know why. They've always done that since I was a kid. When I yawn, my eyes water.
Sure.
Every time I yawn, if I'm getting tired, my eyes burn.
Now?
Oh, yeah.
So it's in your bloodstream?
Sure.
Oh, wow.
Like if I get out of the shower, the worst thing for me is I don't wear contacts, thank God. But if I get an eyelash in my eye, I'm in a jam. I got a problem because
it's like
Listen, I've had eyelash, and I go to the shower, wash my hands in the shower,
Yeah.
Dry off, and go like this, try to get it out, and immediately it's burning. It's not what's on my finger; it's what's in me seeping through my pores.
In your hair, in your dude. So if you ever get like bitten by a shark, that shark better hope that they like spicy food.
Well, I know this. I was at the New York City Hot Sauce Expo 6 years ago, and I yawned, and I had to. I was with a friend of mine, a woman that I had dated earlier, and she went like this and licked it, and she said that my tear was spicy. I said, "You're putting me on." She goes, "No, I swear to God it was." So there's also something that chili heads get called fire hole.
Okay.
That's what you spoke about earlier. That's when you number 2. But we get fire hose. Women get something called fire lily.
Lily.
You have so much capsaicin in your body that when you go to the bathroom, it burns.
Whoa.
It's funny too, because until it happens to you, it's like you hear about it, but the first time it happens to you, you'll giggle, because the first time it happened to me, I wasn't really plugged into the chili community. I was just eating a lot of hot stuff, and I was like,
what's going on?
Why is that happening?
Yeah, do I need to go and like?
Well, I was married.
Who have I been with?
I had a conversation with my wife. I was married at the time. I'm like, honey. And I was like, oh, I had that ghost pepper burger for lunch.
Wow, fire hose.
So you get fire hose and fire lily. Women get, what else happens?
I would imagine. I wonder if your sweat would change as well. Like,
well, you know what? After a couple times, it's happened to me like that. One time, the first time I ever made a mistake, I did a challenge. I ate 5 Carolina Reapers and 2 scorpions in one video. And it's like the second video I ever uploaded to the channel. And or maybe the first video. It's really a long time. It's the start of the channel. And I did it on an empty stomach. And I was fine. I was like, all right. I hung out for like 20 minutes. I drove home. I was home for about 20 minutes. Something terrible started to happen in my stomach. And I remember saying, never do that again.
Yeah. Wow, man. Yeah, it's powerful. I don't think that folks realize the scale of what you're doing, because if you give someone that doesn't eat chili, you call it chili, you call it peppers, don't you?
Peppers, chilies, pods. We call it.
Okay, in Australia, I think we call it chili a little bit, but it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like someone who eats a pizza with some jalapeno on it, and they're not used to eating that'll knock them around. But it's not like a super hot is double the amount of heat to a jalapeno. It's exponentially more.
Jalapeno is between 2,000 and 8,000 Scoville heat units. All right.
Okay.
Let's go with a Carolina Reaper. A ghost pepper. A ghost pepper is about 900 to 960,000.
So that's that's insane.
The Reaper is 1.5 million for the hottest Reaper. So it goes up from there.
And so tell me, as someone who is experienced in trying all these different peppers, and you hear what the Scoville unit is on, how do you feel about the accuracy of the Scoville rating? Do you think that's...
I think the Scoville ratings are accurate. I think people lie. Companies are dishonest, and they'll say things about sauces that are not true. If this is a hot, look, if you get Texas Pete's, I think it's Texas Pete's, one of those sauces, it just says one drop will do you. Well, that's where it starts. That's not true. If you give that to a toddler, they'll need more than 1 drop. So there are probably 100 bottles of sauce that you will find on the label, the world's hottest sauce. Well, they can't all be.
No.
So what happens is this. Here's the problem. It's the lie that everybody wants to keep telling.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is, like, I'm trying to give you a good example of it. I don't want to feel like I'm picking on the Reaper, but this is a really good example of it. A Carolina Reaper, when it was the Guinness Book World Record holder, it was 1.5 million Scoville heat units. All right. Now, the company that makes this is a company called Blazing Foods. They use Reaper in a lot of their products. He's a very smart businessman. So when he buys powder from a source, he will take a sample of that powder and send it off to a lab and get it rated, tested. So he knows how much he's going to need to use in the recipe to make sure it's consistent with the previous batches. With me? Okay, so over the years, now keep in mind that a Reaper, the Guinness book is 1.5 million. Over the years, I can remember maybe 6 or 7 different samples that we sent out, all from different sources, not from one source. I won't name any sources, but from 5 or 6 or 7 different places. Not once, I'm telling you the truth, I swear to you, I'm telling you the truth, not once did we ever have Reaper powder come back that tested higher than 770,000.
Interesting.
Now,
okay.
What happened is the pepper that they had tested was just a really good one, but I'm telling you, it's not the average. Now,
they do fluctuate between. You could get like different pods on the one plant, and one could be brutal and one could be.
Now, here's where the problem comes in. Let's say you had 1,000 people who've all eaten a Carolina Reaper, and if you said to them, "Who's eating a Carolina Reaper?" They all put their hand up, excited, right? And if they said, "How many Scoville was it?" What would they all say in unison? 1.5 million Scoville, because that's what they all think they've eaten. And I'm here to tell you that most people have no clue how hot 1.5 million really is.
Yeah, right.
So it's not that the ratings are wrong. It's that people are they're lacking integrity.
Yeah.
It happened. Everybody, we see it all the time. I mean, that's why there are certain companies that are really, really honest in their advertising. I'm not going to pick on any company, but there are some companies that I call them chili head companies. And then there are companies that just sell hot sauce.
Yeah, right.
If a company just sell hot sauce, they say it's a hot sauce. You can relax. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If a chili head company says, "Hey, dude, this is a hot sauce," you got to be careful because
I've noticed that. So when I started getting into eating some proper hot sauces after watching you, bro, I went to the supermarket and bought a bunch of different hot sauces and nothing. They've got, Reaper hot sauce, extra hot sauce, but it's from the supermarket and it's in all the supermarkets. So it's like, damn well that if you can buy the hottest sauce you can find from a supermarket, you're fine. It's not, whereas some random sauce stall at the farmer's market with a bottle that I've never seen before, that's when my eyes light up and I'm like, okay, it's
almost like in America, almost like where beer was 2 decades ago. Right. Like if you're a beer connoisseur and you really like beer, the best beer you can get isn't on a grocery store shelf.
No,
you would find a microbrewery that brews its own. They have a brewmaster.
It's made with love, not made to mass produce. They want to get the product
it's a
right.
Different experience. It's small craft. That's exactly what's happening now. That's where we are now. Like I wasn't going to name him by name. I'm going to give him a plug. Hellfire hot sauce. That is a Hellfire hot sauce.
I've got some of that. Is that an Aussie company?
No. So they're from Geneva, Wisconsin. But I'm telling you, that is a chili head company.
Has it got a scorpion on it? Is that their logo? So.
No.
Doesn't matter. I've definitely seen that logo.
That is for instance, they have one of their sauces. They have the Scoville lab rating from the lab. They have the Scoville numbers printed on the label.
Okay.
It's doomed. It's 2.63 million. And I'm just here to tell you, it's 2.63 million. Now, if anybody, I mean it. If you have sauces that claim they're really hot, go try that. Then get back to me.
Yeah. Well, and that's cool. They're doing it. They're like, we don't care about.
I love that though because they really are. They're a chili head company. I think that's really neat.
We're doing it. They're doing it for the people who really know.
It's just a niche market. It really is. I mean, first of all, chilies in the peppers and chilies and it's a hot sauce. That's a niche market. But the people that like it on the upper level, it's micro niche. It's like,
it really is. So I've dabbled in making my own sauce, and there's still part of me with a good mate of mine who we have thrown around the idea of making our own hot sauce brand. And I personally really like the tropical kind of ones. I like it to be really fruity and, adding pineapple and mango and kiwi and these. Yeah. And it's something that's kind of, because for me, I like hot weather foods and drinks. I like Mexican beer. I like tequila. I like rum. And so if it's going to be hot, spicy food, I want it to feel, I like summer fruits, mangoes, man. So that's the kind of thing that I would make in a hot sauce. But I've made some, I think they were yellow scorpion peppers that I got. My wife bought me a box of someone sent a box of pods, and it was way too many, but she got a great deal on it. And I was like, I can't even, I'm scared to even touch these bad boys, let alone, use them all. But I made a batch of hot sauce, and I used one yellow scorpion pod in this whole batch that made like 2 or 3 bottles. And dude, it's no joke. And it's to try and get it to a point where normal humans can tolerate it is such a different, the people don't understand.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Everybody thinks, your concept of hot is only as hot as what you've ever experienced. You can't conceive of stuff you've never experienced.
Yeah.
So everybody in their mind, when you think of hot, like what's the hottest thing? Like we all have in our mind. So something happens when what you have in what your head of what you think is hot, and you experience something way hotter.
Yeah.
That's a trippy experience. That's like what happened. That's where people experience panic mode.
Yeah.
Because they're feeling pain and heat they've never felt before.
Yes.
And it's still climbing, and they don't know where it's going to stop. That's a terrifying feeling for some people. Yes.
It reminds me of, it's funny. I've never been a big partier really. I went through a phase, but I've certainly done my fair share of psychedelics and always leaned more towards cannabis than anything else. And the thing that I've learned from those experiences is if it gets too much, you just have to resign yourself to it's always okay. You have to chill. The more you fight it, the more trouble you're going to be in. And it kind of seems like it's maybe the same place.
The mindset is very similar. Like you just got to kind of breathe in, and this is happening.
Yeah, you did this because you wanted to have a new experience. You're having one. So embrace it.
Exactly. And the funny thing about it is once you've experienced it once, like if somebody has a real tough experience and they get burned silly, the next time it happens, even if it's really bad, they won't be the same because they've been down that road before. But it's just that first time where you've never been down that road before. It's like, what?
Dude, have you seen, there's a wonderful video on YouTube of these 2 girls. They're probably 14 and they're making this video of like, we thought we would eat the hardest pepper that there is. And they've gotten some dried reapers, and they're just so naive. They've got no idea what they're getting themselves into. And it plays out exactly the way you would hope it does. And I don't want to come across as mean, but obviously we know they're fine by the end of it. But I'll send it to you. It's great, dude. One of them handles it pretty well. So they start off. It's a big reaction. They eat them and they're like, oh wow, and because the cameras are rolling. And then there's a moment where it switches, where one of the girls, she stops performing and she forgets that the cameras are on, and she freaks out. She runs inside upstairs to her mum, and she's panicking. And her mum's like, "What do you do? Why did you do this?" It's and then they do a little wrap up at the end when obviously an hour later when she's come back down and she's not in a good way, but it's great. It's exactly the way you would hope that it would go.
Yeah, well, and the funny thing about it is if you got a hold of that girl and said, "Aren't you glad you did it?" She'd tell you, "Yeah."
You would, dude. She's got like 30 million views. She's probably stoked with that.
If you went on YouTube and type in "Tube of Terror gone wrong" or any of those, you will see so many funny videos. That I know of, there are 4 videos online where somebody starts eating that tube of peanuts in their kitchen, and they end the video climbing into the back of an ambulance. 4 of them. And there's one of them, the guy goes, I can't, I'm going to the hospital. And he's driving himself to the hospital. He gets to a point where he can't drive anymore. He pulls over on the side of the road, rolling around in the dirt. A friend of his calls the ambulance. They pick him up on the side of the road and take him to the. But so you got to be careful. But you know what though? Overall, no one's unless you have a pre-existing condition, no one's dying from this stuff.
Yeah, it is a beautifully life-changing experience, isn't it?
It sure is.
It's interesting that with that product you've used so many different peppers. Tell me, what is it about the different families of peppers? What types are there? Because I know, for instance, when I've had certain hot sauces, some of them, and I don't know what the distinction is, but I know that there are some that kind of they they have a very different heat to them, even though it's all capsaicin. But some of them, for instance, almost taste like diesel. They've almost got this industrial, and you go, oh wow, that's going to be a different type of pain. Whereas there's other ones that creep up on you, hence the name the ghost, right? And what can you talk to me about the different families and how they affect you?
Yeah, I can do that. There's I don't know if there's 5. The first one, there's capsicum annum, and in there you have peppers like a jalapeno, a serrano, right? And those are I don't know what makes them. I think a lot of it's just levels of heat, but it's a genus or a species or whatever. But one of them is capsicum annum, and they're lower heat peppers. Then you have capsicum frutigen, and for there you have the ahi pods, right? All the ahis, which are just delicious and fruity and sweet. Then you have.
I sorry to cut you off, but I watched that video you did just recently where you ate an ahi something, and you were just saying how delicious it was. Because one thing I want to get out of you is if I were to grow one type that was going to be really delicious tasting, what would it be? So, well, maybe it's an ahi.
Sugar Rush Stripey. Grow that one. It's
Sugar
beautiful. Sugar Rush Stripey. It looks like glass. It's beautiful, and they taste good and they're sweet.
Okay, great.
The next one is capsicum pubescens, which is, I believe, is like Manzano. Those are in that category. Then you have capsicum chinense. And that's where you have your scorpions, your reapers.
Is that where habaneros come from?
Habaneros are chinense, you bet.
Okay, so would it be, is the habs kind of where they start, where the super hots come from? Is it that same family? Have you got any super hots in the other families, or do they all really come from?
It depends on what your tolerance is.
Sure.
If you've never had a pepper, there are peppers in every one of those categories that are going to feel like a super hot.
Mess you up. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I mean, the peppers really start getting hot in the capsicum chinense.
Okay.
And those are the really hot ones.
And what characteristically is the difference in the way that they hit you? Because they do, right? There's some of them.
Well, even the peppers within the capsicum chinense hit differently. So it's not like all the capsicum chinense burn a certain way compared to the capsicum annum. For instance, a capsicum or a habanero is in that family. But if you've had habanero, you know that they kind of sting. They don't really burn as much as they have a stinging quality to them.
Yeah.
If you eat a ghost pepper, it doesn't sting at all. It's a burn, but the burn is very creepy. It starts slow and slowly builds. And you think, this isn't too bad. This isn't too bad. It's bad. It's bad. And it keeps climbing.
Yeah.
Then you have peppers like the warthog, which I've eaten, the hottest pepper I've ever eaten in my life. That hits you like this.
Really?
It's like a rocket. Just immediately.
The warthog. Wow.
I mean, immediately hot.
Wow. It's just bam until it's run its course.
A month and a half ago, it was the hottest pepper. I've eaten thousands of peppers on video and more off, but this was no pepper I've ever eaten has even come close. It was easily twice as hot as anything I've ever eaten before. It was a rogue pepper, which is sort of unfortunate.
Because it's kind of cool though, you know?
Yeah. But I will tell you this, I've had a bunch of other warthogs, and it's just a stupid hot pepper. And it's so exciting because the coolest thing about that is Matthew Arthur is the creator of that pepper. I did the video. It was really crazy. He sent me these peppers. He didn't say, hey, dude, be careful with that warthog. He didn't tell me a thing.
He probably didn't want to patronize you, you know? Hopefully he was kidding.
He just sent them to me. So I ate a couple of them. I was like, oh, that's good. And I ate the warthog. I was just like immediately, I was like, okay, we have a special pepper here. This is different.
Yeah.
This is different. And then I ate several of them. And then a few days after, I did a video where I ate a chocolate primatale, which is like before this, it was the hottest pepper I ever had. And see, my superpower isn't being able to eat hot stuff. It isn't. My superpower is the ability to continue talking.
I was going to say, I know
that's from my superpower
from watching enough of your videos that when you take a moment, I'm like, oh yeah, that's hot. Johnny's feeling that. But the fact that it doesn't even look like it touches the sides for you half the time, man.
Well, I know I think it's kind of boring. You know, if you knew over the years, I've had people say, dude, I'm not watching you. It's boring. I'm like, okay, well, thank you for watching. See you later.
You know what would be an amazing series is if you had a noob next to you and they have
There's a series that I did for my channel called the David and Goliath series.
Okay.
We met a guy working for us whose name was David.
Yeah.
And I said to him, hey, I have an idea for a video. He goes, well, I said, a guy had messaged me, a guy named Tim Meyer from Revolutionary Hot Sauce. He grows peppers, and he had a twin, meaning one stem, but two peppers were growing off of one stem.
Oh, okay. So
the advantage to that is it's absolutely apples to apples. It's identical flavor and identical heat. Because if we had two different peppers, we really can't tell who got the hotter one.
Yeah.
This was perfect to show you the difference between a chili head and somebody who's not. So we got this pepper from this guy. We cut it in half. I gave him one. I took one. And he ate that. He had never, ever eaten a full pepper before in his life. And that set off a series of videos. We ended up making like 170 videos.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
But if you watch it, it's wonderful because it does show you the difference. And you watched his tolerance grow really fast. And he became a hardcore chili head really quickly. So, but that was exactly what you're talking about. It was called the David and Goliath series. And
cool. You've already done it. That's great.
Here's the problem. It's not easy to find somebody like that.
Yeah.
Because usually I've had people that have signed up for the deal, said, yeah, I can do that. And they do one video and go, I can't do that.
I can't do that anymore. Yeah.
It's not for everybody. It really isn't. I get it.
What do you think is the difference in experience between having something that is a hot sauce or an extract to just a fresh pod itself?
They're very different. For instance, if you have let's say you got a ghost pepper sauce, all right? And then you had ghost pepper extract and you had ghost pepper, actual ghost pepper pod.
Mm.
You could eat the sauce and think to yourself, man, I can handle ghost pepper.
Mm.
Eat the pepper and tell me how you feel.
Right.
It's so much different. It's 10 times more intense. It's and that's what happens is people get the impression that they can handle. It's one of the problems when you have a sauce that claims it's really hot and it's made with Reaper and it's not that hot. Somebody's got to see a Reaper and go, I can eat one of those. I eat the sauce all the time in my house.
Yeah, yeah.
They're going to eat one of those and it's going to, it's not going to kill them, but it's certainly going to, alter the course of their afternoon.
And that makes sense. It's like having fruit juice or the whole fruit. There's a whole lot more going on. You've got all the fiber. It probably works in symbiosis with itself. There's a whole bunch of different things going on when you eat the fresh fruit as opposed to
just coat your mouth. There's oils all over a pod, and if you have a ghost pepper sauce, I promise you, there's not a whole ghost pepper in that one bottle of sauce you're eating.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you're getting a fraction.
So when you eat and even if there was, it was diluted so much that you have to eat the whole bottle before you've eaten the whole ghost pepper.
And there's other things that you can put in, so. What are the things that one can do in order to numb
Spike
things?
It?
Yeah.
Oh, to numb things? To numb it once you're too hot?
Yeah. I know because they put vinegar in the sauces, but is that more as a preservative or a flavor thing?
That's to stop the growth of the things in the if you have a fermented sauce, it ferments.
Yeah.
To kill the ferment, they cook it in fermented sauces to a certain level, which stops the grow process.
Yeah.
The acidified sauce, they just add vinegar to it, and that stops the growth.
Okay.
So,
what can you really do to calm it down, or is it just time?
Everything is temporary. Now, there are things you can do, but they're just temporary fixes. Like you can put peanut butter, helps the burn.
Okay.
Believe it or not. Ice cream, dairy will help. The higher the fat content, the better it's going to help you because the fat adheres to your receptors on your tongue and kind of blocks it.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, only temporary. The minute you swallow it, it ignites again.
Yeah. Does sugar do something?
I've heard. I've never tried it. I've never tried any of these. I like the burn. I don't like making it stop.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you because I've heard people talk about it. I don't drink after. I don't go run and drink after a video. I just stop and.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing I noticed. You don't even sip on water usually. You just knock it back and have the experience that you're having. Power to you, man. I love it.
I'm broken, man.
Yeah, that's and put it on display for the world, bro.
Well, it's been a very, very fun journey.
Let's talk about the journey and where you're at with Chase the Heat now. What's happening?
Boy, you know what? Yesterday, 2 days ago, was Chase the Heat turned 8 years old. And
happy birthday.
So what I've done is, I've made the channel knows by now, but at the time of this filming, I hadn't released it. But what I'm doing now is, the first 8 years of the channel, I reviewed products from hundreds and hundreds of different sources. I've eaten, sauces and spicy products and peppers from hobbyists, from professional companies. And the channel has essentially heard these names for 8 years, but that's all they've heard is the names of these people. So what I'm going to do is I'm starting a series next week called Johnny Scoville or Meet the Makers with Johnny Scoville. I'm going to sit down with all of the people that help propel my channel, all the people that grew peppers for me, all the people that made products. And I'm going to sit down. We're going to do an hour-long interview live, and we're going to talk about a lot of crazy stuff. And that's what we're going to do. So that starts. And what I'm doing is for the just so everybody knows, my channel, Chase the Eat, will no longer upload videos on the 10th anniversary of the channel. Okay. This is a 10-year mission. It's been a lot of fun. Nothing can go forever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue uploading videos and continue doing it on October 19th, 2025 or 2026 will be the last upload for the Chase the Eat.
Oh man, this is a big thing that's happening. That's exciting, dude. It's fun. I always said that I was going to do this until it was no longer any fun. And it's not that it's not fun anymore. I'm having fun. I'm going to pivot and kind of go in a different direction. But this has been an amazing experience. I mean, I've saw places. I've been around the world a few times. I have friends on different countries, and I'm in the Urban Dictionary. Chase the Heat is in the Urban Dictionary. Love it.
I've been on the Netflix special. I was on the Hulu special. So things happen. The best part about it is all of this was by accident. Yeah. I just sat out to make some videos. And so it's been an amazing experience. And so what we're doing is if you're on a plane, at this part of the plane, your ears will pop and you'll feel the plane slow down a little bit and it'll slowly start to make its descent. And that's what Chase the Heat is doing right now. It's going to take 2 years, but on the 19th, we're going to park this thing.
That's cool. Hey, congratulations, man.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I really appreciate you having me on. You're great. If you ever want me on again, you let me know.
Well, bro, I would love to. I've actually got a little closing treat. I've got my Ninja Turtles mug here, and inside I have this.
A jalapeno.
I also have...
What's that, Scorpion?
No, it's just a hab.
Is that what it had?
Just to have
it's really funny. You can't really tell anymore with phenotypes. They're all over the place.
And it's just a little bird's eye. So I thought it would be only fair, since I've been, ribbing you this whole time about eating.
You going to eat a pepper with me?
Yeah, I'm going to eat a pepper, bro, yeah.
I don't have one with me, but I'll sit here and I'll do the blow by blow while you eat it.
Yeah, maybe you could talk me through what's going on.
I'm going to.
What do you reckon which one of these three should I have?
Go with the red one. Go with the small red one.
The bird's eye?
Plenty heat. Yep, hang on one second. I'm going to tell you how hot it is. Hey, Siri.
I've never done this.
How hot is a bird's eye pepper? All right, so a bird's eye pepper is going to be somewhere between 50 and 100,000 Scoville heat units. So it's not as hot as a habanero, but it's going to be hotter than a Serrano. Okay. Serrano is between 10 and 25, so it's a jump up from Serrano. So, all right, ready?
Yeah. Look,
I'm 1, 2, 3. Then I'll say, eat that chili.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Eat that chili. Now, what Mark is doing is he's chewing up this pepper right now. Immediately, he's sensing the heat. Now, it's going to take a while to actually build. Bit of a sweetness to it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, it takes a while for the heat to start building. Where is it hitting you right now?
It's on my tongue. It's at the back of my throat. It's actually around my whole mouth.
Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hot would you say it is? 10 being, wow, I should not have eaten that.
Honestly, maybe a 3 or a 4.
That's excellent. Now, It may climb a little longer because it's going to take a little while to build. But, man, I'll tell you what, I'm honored that you ate that pepper with me. If we do this again, let me know, and I'll make sure I have a pepper beside me, and we'll do it together.
Yeah, man. That would be a real treat. I've got to say, I'm surprised at how well I took that.
You took like a champ. I think you have a much higher. You've been setting me up. You're a ringer. You're a Chilli head.
maybe I'll carry the Chase the Heat torch with me, and I'll start doing it as well. Or it's starting to come through my head. I'm just chasing that rush, man.
Yep.
Yeah, Johnny, this has been a real pleasure, brother.
It's been listen, I really enjoyed this. It's been an honor. Thank you, Mark. You're a great host.
Cheers, man.
Great interview. If you ever want me back on, all you got to do is ask. My answer will be yes.
Definitely, man. I'll hit you up again before your channel's done, and we can check in as you say goodbye on your final voyage.
I would love that. Thank you, Mark.
Cheers, brother. Gentleman.